Back in the day, you met three kinds of families at the Jersey Shore. The wealthy, who had beach homes, the solid middle class who rented, and the rest of us who ran through sprinklers on our front lawns. We were known as day trippers. We'd get up before the crack of dawn to fight the other day trippers going south on the Garden State Parkway. Moms always got up earliest to prepare the food. They would also pack the station wagon. A father's one responsibility was to drive the car and saying annoying things like, "Hope you all went to the bathroom because I'm not going to stop." Riding in the back of the station wagon usually looked like this. No seatbelts, kids sitting backwards, their feet out the window, making weird faces at the cars behind them. When boredom overtook us, we'd fall asleep, only to be awakened by the smell of the ocean. Day trippers usually arrived looking like this, dressed like they just left the flea market. The locals called them bennies or shoobies. Truth is, day trippers were just average families who couldn't afford the Jersey Shore for longer than a few hours, so they didn't really care what they looked like. The most important decision of the day was to find your family that perfect spot on the beach. You know what I'm talking about. Nostalgia remembers it looking like this, but in reality, most day trippers saw the beach like this. By late morning, it was so crowded that a kid could easily get separated from his family and end up eating lunch with another family or some hippies who looked like the Beach Boys. Moms would carefully apply sunblock to their young children so they wouldn't burn. Just kidding. This was the 70s. Sunblock? The only time there was sunblock was if a fat person stood in front of you. Am I allowed to say fat? Most families had two rules. Don't go in the ocean alone, and wait at least 1 hour after eating before you go swimming, or else you would drown. Parents back then thought that the undigested food in your stomach would weigh you down, and you wouldn't be able to float. The bloated stomach theory has sort of lost some credibility over the years. After the kids digested their food, they would sprint into the breaking ocean waves. Activities included the ever-dangerous body surfing. Kids didn't have body boards or so-called boogie boards like today, so they would use their own bodies to surf. Nothing like being pile-driven into the sand by a crashing wave. Some of them would be tossed around so violently that they could hear their spines cracking. Every now and then a kid would be stung by a jellyfish. Did we use a topical antibiotic cream such as Neosporin to treat the stings? Their parents told them to piss on it. I'm serious. They formed a privacy circle with towels, and they'd all pee on the kid. Supposedly, it helped soothe the pain of the sting. Then they said to us, "Go back in the ocean. The salt water will heal the jellyfish sting." While the kids were doing their thing, the parents were pretty much drinking beer, smoking cigarettes, and reading magazines and newspapers. Speaking of cigarettes, butts were littered all over the beach. The 1970s could be really dirty. As adults enjoyed leisure activity, kids enjoyed the freedom to go exploring, collecting seashells, digging holes, and burying each other in the sand. They also built elaborate sandcastles. Okay, maybe not this elaborate. Kids had to be very careful walking on the sand. Litter was everywhere. There were sharp bottle caps hiding underneath the sand, and not the candy, but the real thing. And pull tabs from beer cans could slice your foot wide open. As long as the kid didn't sever an artery, the parents encouraged them to go back in the ocean. The salt water will heal the cut, they said. This was pretty much their answer for everything. Go in the ocean. I have a cut. Go in the ocean. I have to pee. Go in the ocean. So we're at the midway point, and I just want to remind you to please like, share, and subscribe to the Tough Kid channel. If you like the content like Day Trippers and all the other things we do here for the Tough Kid channel, please remember to hit that like button, subscribe, tell a friend, leave a comment down below. Back to Day Trippers. Transistor radios were very popular on the Jersey Shore. Seemed like every blanket had one. People would listen to the Yankee baseball games or the Met games. It wasn't uncommon to ask random strangers for an update on the score. It was really nice how we all felt a connection through the radio. And many families tuned into 77 WABC. It seemed like everybody listened to the same music. And a kid could hear an entire song uninterrupted as they walked from their blanket to the ocean. Cold fried chicken for lunch was the best, and moms made plenty of it. and the ice cream guy was always around when you needed him. During the digesting hour, when a kid wasn't allowed to swim, young boys would digest other things, like the sight of women in bikinis. They said they were going exploring for seashells, but everybody knew what they were really up to. A few observations in looking back on a day trip to the Jersey Shore. First, everybody was thin and had a decent physical condition back then. Maybe it was diet, maybe it was how active everybody was. Some people believe that today's obesity problem is all rooted in the processed foods that we all consume, and even the larger portions. I'm not sure what's to blame. I do know that back in the day, most of us looked like this, and not like this. A second observation I want to make was that people back then seemed more patient with each other, dare I say, more friendly. We were all packed in so tightly on that beach, I guess we had to be more civil. It wasn't uncommon for different families to actually form friendships at the beach, exchanging food and drinks, and at the end of the day, even exchanging phone numbers. Day trippers got the most for their money by staying on the beach until the sun went down. By then, they were all sunburned, tired, and needed to get the sand out of their bathing suits before they got in the car. The last thing day trippers did before they left was use the bathroom. Heading north on the Garden State Parkway, there was sure to be some complaining, arguing, snoring, even some farting. One last observation. I think families back then were closer because they had to be. They simply didn't have enough money to go their own way. Over the years, technology has served the individual, and this has only created feelings of isolation and loneliness. You want proof? Just look at the Jersey Shore day trippers. They started the day with family, and they ended it with family. And all the hours in between might have been the most joyful hours of their lives. Until next time, Tough Kid Nation, always remember that back is the way forward. God bless you all.